Hey, boys and girls, I have Mr. Musk with us today.
Okay.
And first off, thank you so much for agreeing. It's like, I don't know what time it is, but late. And you've got 2 more hours to go. So we're going to fly through this as quick as possible.
Sure.
Make it painless. Anyway, first off, thank you so much. I
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate your analysis over the years. It's, I think, accurate and thoughtful.
Well, I think that so far we haven't really released a heck of a lot, but we've got something like 5 hours of video and whatnot that I know people are going to be very, very. In fact, I've already gotten a little note from Jim Farley saying, when are you going to release the information? So I know everybody is really, really interested in this. And I just have one quick question for you. This has been a hell of a week based on what I've seen on X. But
Yeah.
what was the high point, as far as you're concerned, with the with what happened this week and whatnot? Apart from the fact that you released it,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
which
I mean, we
which
just had
thing
a-
really?
Yeah, I mean, this is our biggest product release in quite a while. I mean, the Cybertruck is our, probably our most revolutionary product. So for it to actually reach production and to deliver the first production articles to people, which means it's passed all of the regulatory tests and is reliable and something that can be out there on the roads was extremely difficult. I've often said that prototypes are easy, production is hard. With a small team, you can make a prototype of almost anything in maybe six months with 100 people. But to actually create a production system, you need 10,000 people and 2 years or 3 years.
Yeah.
Much,
Well, actually,
much
2 or
harder.
3 years. Most people can't even do that. So, and you may not know this, but I tag Tesla as working at the speed of thought, not like what everybody else does, committees and whatnot. You guys seem to be able to spot something that should be done, and maybe other people have spotted it as well, but you actually get it done. And that's where, like, self-driving, I've driven it. I'm very impressed with that. I did give him one suggestion though. Taking this the first time into a great big giant parking garage, that winding doodad, I've asked the guys whether or not there's something you can do about putting a little, like a bar on the bottom so I can see where the hell my wheels are. And they said, no, it's software, done. And I think they may have implemented it already. That's what I mean by speed of thought. So I like that kind of stuff. 48 volts. I mean,
It's been a long time that it's been at 12 volts, far too long.
Yeah, 60 years.
Yeah.
So I've got a question for you. How difficult was it to move from 12 to 48? Because I know when the S came out,
Yeah.
or the Plaid came out, I wasn't happy. I thought you were going to do it on that. I was looking for that big giant weight reduction and cutting all the wire and whatnot. But this one, you've got it in. So how difficult was it to get that to happen?
Well, it's very difficult to change the bus voltage from 12 to 48 because all of the peripheral items, everything that connects to it has to interface at 48 volts, or you've got to step down to 12 volts.
Yeah.
So, there are hundreds of things that interface to the low voltage bus, and that's everything from the electronics in the car, the window, the window motor, the airbags, the seat adjustment mode, everything is set. The headlamps, everything's set to 12 volts. So the entire supply chain, the entire design infrastructure is set for 12 volts. This is why it's been stuck at this absurdly low number for a long time. And I think, it's people that know a little bit about electrical engineering. You don't need to know a lot, but just a little bit. Will understand that you actually want a higher voltage in order to reduce the resistance losses.
Right.
So the heating in any wire is the current is I squared R. So it's the square of the current. So if you're trying to get a particular power rating through, then as you increase the voltage, you can decrease the current so that voltage times amperage equals your power, so to hold power constant. But the heating is proportionate to the square of the current. So you want to raise the voltage in order to lower the current, thus lower the heating in the wire. And the net effect being that you can have much thinner wires. Then as you raise the voltage, you can drop the thickness of the wire, so you can use much less. In a nutshell, you can use much less copper, and the wire harness weighs much less as you raise the voltage.
But you did even more, because you went to the new bus system, and in the 80s when I was still working for Ford, I did everything I could to try and get us to go to it was a bus system that failed, and we couldn't get that to happen. And once it failed, that's it. We can never go back again. It's failed. It'll never work. It'll never work. But you guys made it work. And I heard a couple of different numbers, but somewhere between in percentage of weight and what, sometimes something around 70% of the communication wire disappeared. 48 volt. Who cares? It's gone. And this is another thing that, multiplexing was, that's the name that it used to be called. But anyways, multiplexing was really good, but it was too slow. And you've got it to work. And I maybe you could explain who came up with it? When did you decide that you were going to go in that direction? Was it part of the 48 volt discussion, or how did that work?
Well, there's actually a couple of things happening. So besides 48 volts, it's also moving to Ethernet over CAN bus. So Ethernet just allows for a much higher data rate than the CAN bus, which is the sort of typical data bus on a car. One of the effects of being able to having a very high bandwidth bus is that you don't have to have as many point-to-point wires, because you're not constrained by the data rate. So if your data rate per wire is low, as it is typically with CAN bus, you have to have many point-to-point wires. Whereas if you have a very high data rate like Ethernet, then you can simply attach to the bus and not worry about any kind of latency or packet loss or data loss, essentially. So it's so you need far fewer point-to-point wires. So it's both going to 4 times higher voltage, thus having thinner wires, and needing fewer wires because we have a much higher data rate bus. Now, I think, frankly, these things are pretty obvious. They're like, it's simply bringing cars to the 21st century, because we've had Ethernet for a long time. There's nothing that's really prevented the car industry from moving to a higher bus voltage and a much higher data rate system than CAN bus, which is a very old protocol. And so I feel like actually what we're doing is we're kind of making the obvious moves. They seem very obvious to me, like as opposed to like some eureka. It's not like, is it actually a breakthrough? Well, we're just trying to bring car electronics to the year 2023.
Right.
Similar to what you'd have for in a laptop or any kind of computer.
Well, without sounding like I'm sucking up, because I almost never do, I just think it's because of leadership. I work with many different car companies, some of them big, some of them small. But to make a decision like that usually involves, number one, a bunch of MBAs, and number two, lawyers. And as soon as that comes into play, boom, I don't care what engineer, if you haven't got a leader that's going to be, no, I don't care, just do it. And that kind of an obvious idea to an engineer is totally oblivious to people who count beans and basically try and make you do nothing new anyway.
I mean, I think if somebody's gonna, I believe it's important to be good at to have some good understanding of the field that you are leading. So if you're leading, say, a technology company, you want to be, I think, good at engineering or reasonably good at engineering. You need to, if you're, leading a company which is sort of more marketing based, then I think being skilled at marketing is fine. But like you don't want you don't want your product to be something that you don't understand, essentially. So there's a lot of technology in the car, so I think it's important to have an understanding of technology, of engineering, in order to make sensible decisions. I mean, even for something I think as trivial as I squared R heating, if you ask, I think there wouldn't be that many technology company CEOs who would know what that means.
I would say zero, except for you.
I mean, there's maybe a few. I think like Jensen Huang at
maybe,
NVIDIA and a few others,
maybe.
would know.
But at the end of the day, very, very few would know. And if they did know, it wouldn't make any difference anyway, because again, they're going to have to bump in to the same roadblocks over and over again. And then there's the other roadblock, the Nishna roadblock. And you've got basically steer-by-wire.
Steer-by-wire is awesome. If you actually, I didn't really spend much time on it in the Cybertruck presentation because it was hard to explain why it's going to be great. But you have to, if you drive the car, it's immediately obvious.
Yes, exactly.
So steer-by-wire means that the steering yoke is not mechanically connected to the wheels.
Yeah.
So now this is the way that all modern jet airliners are made.
It's
it's the sort of the steering yoke or stick on a modern airliner is simply a command to the computer. So for the Cybertruck, the steering yoke is a command to the computer. So that means we can adjust the gain. And I'll try to say this in ways that, say, an engineering audience would understand, but also that maybe a general audience would also understand. By variable gain, it's kind of like turning out if you've got an amplifier or something, do you turn the amplifier to a low setting or a high setting? And so you can increase the amplification of the motion of your steering yoke according to what speed you're driving. So that if you're in a parking lot, or if you're low speed driving, then a small movement of the steering yoke results in a big movement in the wheels, so that you can do a U-turn with minimal movement of the steering yoke. But then if you're on a highway and you're moving very fast, you want the wheels to only move a small amount when you move the yoke. So it basically moves the wheels the right amount based on the speed that you're going and what your intentions are.
Well, the other good thing too is this has rear wheel steering.
Yes.
So when I first got into it, it's very nerve-wracking or imposing anyway. First time you get in this thing, it's a very expensive truck. I got I got maybe a couple of minutes of like Rich Otto made all this stuff happen. Anyway, he said, well, this, and this. Hey, gotta go, because he had a lot of stuff to prepare. So we got out, and the very first thing I noticed was I got to get out of this parking spot, and with rear wheel steering, along with front wheel steering as well, it's like it turned on a dime. Yes. This is not like trying to turn the Queen Mary around. No. This is a really, really, in a parking lot, yes. This is going to kick everyone's tail.
Yes, I mean, it turns like a small car, even though it's a big car.
Yeah. So that was another thing that has been talked about for years, but never implemented. This car has got so many, or this truck has got so many applications that engineers have been talking about since, I don't know, Moses was a pup. This is kind of like everything that I was kind of hoping to see. So I'm very, very excited. I also, I haven't been the biggest fan of the Model 3 and the Model Y's backseat. This one here is a monster. I mean, this is really, I'm really, really delighted with that. When I got in there, I brought it around, showed it to everybody. They absolutely loved that back seat.
Yeah, so it's very roomy inside. I mean, you can 5 large adults can easily sit in the car.
Easily, yeah. And so there's a bunch of people at General Motors. When we were trying to help them out, I said, well, why we got 2 windshield wipers? Why don't we just put yours doesn't have it, but I wanted a cam action that would catch both sides. You don't need it. That windshield's so huge, and that blade is so gigantic. It never.
It's like a katana blade winch. It's like giant sword.
Yeah, it is, and it works reasonably well, because I don't know how you arranged that. We were going to drive in the rain and the fog and the mud, but it worked out quite good because we've got tons of really good footage on how that thing works and whatnot. So I love a lot of it. Your guys told me all about the the stainless steel, and it's a 30XX whatever.
Yeah,
but
it's a 300 series custom alloy that we made.
Yeah, but the big thing for me was when I found out, I was pretty sure it'd be austenitic because you can't have rust, but I didn't know that you take the austenite, work harden it, and then now it's martensite,
yeah.
And hence the reason I couldn't understand the bullets, because I've shot through, I do some hunting, and I've shot through stainless steel in the past.
Yeah.
But with martensite, there's no chance. So that was a big surprise. I've got a question for you though. What was the biggest hold up? I mean, everybody's been, holding their breath for at least 4 years. So what really was the biggest challenge?
Well, I think people sometimes forget. It's not like we're going to deliver the car in 2019. We announced the car in 2019. I think we sort of expected perhaps it would be in production in a couple of years later in 21 or something like that. But there was a worldwide pandemic. Then there was a global chip shortage. Yeah. And there were shortages of so many parts. It would be irrelevant for us to bring to market a car for which that we simply do not have parts to make.
Yeah. So that's a pretty good reason.
Yeah.
So I've got I mean, I got no parts.
It would add complexity,
yeah.
But we would not ship any incremental units.
And that's
it would actually make the company worse.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I wasn't going to try and answer that question. A lot of people have been asking. Well, first off, we were under an NDA kind of thing, and then people were asking me the same question over and over again, and I'm thinking, you know what? This would be a good time for you to shut up, Sandy, and let's find out for sure. And that's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah. It just wasn't there. We couldn't make them. So now,
I mean, for a few years there, we actually couldn't even make enough of the Model Y and Model 3. We were actually production constrained because of multiple part shortages. So the global pandemic shut down massive sections of the global supply chain.
Yeah. Well, it was true for everyone.
Yeah,
I mean,
true for everyone.
Nobody was immune to that stuff.
Right.
But
so it was just if we can't even make enough of the cars that we have already designed, what's the point of bringing a new one to market?
Right. So I've got another question then. What are you looking at? I've been asked Bloomberg and I don't know, a bunch of these different news magazines have been asking me, what's the volume going to be for this thing, say in 12 months? What are you looking at?
Well, we have to be cautious about forward-looking statements as a publicly traded company. This is not and it's also very difficult to forecast the production ramp in the beginning, because the production ramp always is like this very difficult S-curve, which means the production is very slow in the beginning. You're constrained by whatever the least lucky, least competent thing out of 10,000 items is.
Yeah.
So
the weak link.
Yeah, there's at least 10,000 unique parts and processes required to scale production. And whatever the like I said, the least lucky, dumbest thing in the whole system, and it could be something complicated or something trivial, that actually sets your output rate. So it's very difficult to predict the slope of that S-curve. That's why, it's, and even just a few months difference one way or the other can really change the unit volume. The Cybertruck is not something that will be material to Tesla's financials next year. Meaning it will not, of the vehicles we make, it will be still such a small percentage that it will not be material in 2024. It will probably be material in 2025.
Yeah. Well, when we went down, they were dry cycling the machines and whatnot, and I'm a pretty good guesser, and it looked to me like this thing could be produced at 1 every 60 seconds, 60 jobs an hour, whatever you want. It seemed to be somewhere in there. And your other ones, when I went through here before, the Model Y was doing about 43 seconds, and I got exactly the same number when I went through when I went through what do you call it, Berlin. So I think at 60 jobs per hour is kind of like where everybody else is. Nobody's at 43. Nobody. So that you're unique. That's great for the 3 and the Y. I'm just hoping this thing will ramp up quickly. I know that I talked to. Oh, we missed you at the party last night. I'm sure you had other things on your mind, but there was about 2,000 people there. Anwar Bex had this party. Anyhow, it was really kind of cool. But if you could have been there, or maybe just been a fly on the wall to hear what everyone had to say. I mean, there was plenty of cheering and plenty of people anxiously awaiting their delivery on this. So I think that this is, without a question of a doubt, the most brilliant product that I worked on. We worked on the Mini, but not the original one. So when Isagonis brought that out, that was a big deal. Yeah. And then danger.
I don't even know what, I mean,
I have no idea
what
that
system,
was.
It's not even clear what the PA system is saying.
But anyways, on this one here, I think that this is the most iconic vehicle that we've seen in at least 40 years, 30 or 40 years.
Yeah.
This is.
I specifically wanted to make something that looked like the future.
Well,
so
yeah.
It's like, I mean, I think that really it's like, what car would Blade Runner drive?
That one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of like what I was looking at. I mean,
it's an armored personnel carrier from the future.
Exactly. And quite frankly, I wanted to do something like this.
Yeah.
When I was working at, we were working for Land Rover, and there was a thing called Judge Dredd.
Yeah, Judge Dredd. Judge Dredd would drive this car for sure.
Exactly. And that's what we wanted to do. I wanted to buy the frames, ship them over to the States, and then I would put a Judge Dredd body on it. They wouldn't go for it. No, that'll never work. This, on the other hand, is just absolutely phenomenal. When we were driving, there was fog and muck and whatnot. The wing mirrors were continuously fogging up, but it didn't matter. Once I found out that I could, so I just turned a turn signal on, and I could see what was going on. If I needed to see something else, flip on the turn signal, the camera comes up, it's clear as day, perfect. And then I find out that you also can wash the glass, like the lenses off. Brilliant. I mean, I just don't understand why it is that no one else has kind of like jumped into this. Everybody else says, there's a regulation. Well, that means that we just got to stop right there, and that's the stupid part. But I got a chance to see all the stuff. I mean, I'm really kind of impressed. From an engineering standpoint, this is like nothing. Nobody's got anything quite like this. So I'm, like I say, I know you're pressed for time, but I have just one other thing I'd like to talk about a little bit. So we have this iconic vehicle, and it'll be great. I'm hoping I can get a couple of them. So I know that this is going to be a great vehicle, but there's the other guys that are also dying to get a Tesla, the $25,000 Tesla. And so I'm wondering where is that exactly? Where are you with that?
Yeah, unfortunately, because we're a publicly traded company, I cannot comment on things that would have a material impact on our financials.
Okay, well, there you go. Yeah, but anyways, I'm hoping that that's not too far down the line. I really, really would like to see something where we can, where like this one here. I'm told that the one that I'm looking for the Beast, the tri-motor and everything.
Yeah.
And I'd like to get 2 of those. And that vehicle is like $100+ grand. I think that that's the right price for this, but it's not the right price for the kid that wants to take one to college or whatnot. So that's why I'm kind of anxious to find out what it is that can be done for those others that want to get into electrification but can't. So if we can't do that, then let me shift gears. And what do you think about the new?
I can say a little bit. I just can't tell you, unit volume and dates, because that has a mass. That is a that is projecting the financials.
Yeah.
So we obviously are working on a low-cost electric vehicle that will be made in very high volume. We're quite far advanced in that work. I review the production line plans for that every week, and I think the revolution in manufacturing that will be represented by that car will blow people's minds. It is not like any car production line that anyone's ever seen.
Is this going to have the basically unboxed system, or would this be too much of a question to ask?
The thing that's most interesting about this is it's a production system. It's a level of production technology that is far in advance of any automotive plant on Earth.
I can hardly wait now.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
It's going to be very cool, sure.
Yeah, I think and I should point out that we will be making the first production line will be here in the Gigafactory in Texas, in this facility.
Oh, I thought it was going to be in Mexico or something.
That'll be the second place.
Oh, that's way cool.
It would take too long to complete the factory in Mexico.
Well, this place here seems to be growing every time I come here. It seems to get bigger. And
yeah, we're adding a significant extension on the south, and adding more buildings on the. We have 2,000 acres, so this is really just a small part of the property.
Yeah. Well, I kept hearing phase one. This is phase one. So this is phase one. I can't imagine what all the other phases must be. So it's,
yeah. And this building is 3 times the size of the Pentagon.
Yeah. Well, the Pentagon I got lost in as well.
But yeah.
It's easy to do that. But this building is so unique in that everybody is, ever since Albert Kahn showed us, hey, let's have a flat building and gobble up a whole bunch of property, and then we don't have to go up and down.
We do actually have floors on this building.
What's that?
We do have floors. This building is...
yeah, I know. This has got plenty of floors. And what's nice about it is I start with the light stuff, and I move it down to the heavy stuff, and then I drive it out the door. That thing right over there, the seat system, that's a great example of I mean, people have talked about doing that. Nobody had the guts to do that. And by the way, I don't know if you know it, but my office chair is a Model Y seat that I put little rollers on.
It's really comfortable.
Well, I have a real problem with my back, and that's the only thing. I mean, I don't need to have a chiropractor. I mean, I've gone to the chiropractor in over a year and a half, I guess now, because that seat, I have no idea. You know, we've taken them apart and whatnot, but I'm not a seat engineer. That just seems to be perfect for everybody that I know of that sits in the front seats. Absolutely loves them. So, but having those and popping them in, and I mean all the glorious stuff you did with with how manufacturing should be done, it drives me wild why other people haven't done anything. But again, I don't know. I hate to start drooling all over you, but I think it's just great leadership. I really appreciate that. So,
yeah, I mean, I push things very hard on engineering front. We would have been more adventurous actually with the Model 3 or Model Y, but we couldn't take a chance on being too radical, because if those were bet the company cars. So with the Cybertruck, it's no longer a bet the company situation. So we have the freedom to be adventurous here.
So let me ask an adventurous question. Okay, so I made a lot of noise about what I think the future is going to look like. And one of the things that I've said is that probably the biggest car company on the planet will be BYD. And then I'm putting Tesla in on second, simply because BYD's got such a head start. I've heard plenty of people, criticizing that. But who do you think is going to be the winners and losers in the car industry?
Well, I think it's too early to say for sure, but I mean, the future is definitely electric. So companies that are not making a significant investment in electric vehicles are basically consigning themselves to the fate of the horse and buggy market, you know, in the 1920s.
Yeah.
You know, there were companies that would double down on horse carriages. And actually, you know, so you don't want to be the buggy manufacturer in the age of automobiles.
Yeah, exactly right. But for me, there's three giants that I think are going to come down real hard, and one in particular. But I just decided I don't want to go down that path. So what I want to do is basically just tell you that this has really been phenomenal. I'm really hoping that somehow I can make something happen for us to, well, for me, first off, to drive something around, and then secondly, something that we can tear down and enlighten the rest of the planet on. And by the way, I forgot, I even have a gift for you. So there you go. So you can open it up. It's got a little flap in the front. Here you go. And there you are. So so anyways, I gave one to
bottle cap opener.
Yes, yeah. So and you can glue it to the fridge too. So there you are.
Fridge magnet.
Yeah.
Bottle opener.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. It's not much, but I really think that it's the least I can do for all the stuff that you've done for Monroe. I mean, you put us on the map. I had, you know, it's been a rough first half of this year. This part of the year seems to be going a whole lot better. And I, like I say, I want to be cognizant of your time and considerate. So I'd like to thank you. By the way, I've got one other thing. Both of us we're aliens, okay? Both of us, you came from Canada, and before that, South Africa. I came from Canada. And I found that Americans have kind of lost their way a little bit thinking about history. And there's this guy, Thomas Jefferson.
Sure.
And Thomas Jefferson used to say, in matters of fashion, go with the flow. In matters of principle, stand like a rock. I'm going to end this with shaking your hand, thanking you for standing like a rock when you're sitting on a stage and someone is trying to humiliate you. I told everybody I won't go into this, and I'm not going to get all, you know, emotional and everything. But to me, I've watched that one clip that people have been putting out. To me, and putting up against, forgotten their name, Disneyland or whatever. At the end of the day, I will never take my grandchildren ever to that place, ever.
Well, and you have to wonder, what would Walt Disney think of the company that is his namesake today?
I'm telling you what.
I mean, I think Walt Disney's turning in his grave faster than a drill bit.
I can't. Well, I'm telling you what. I believe that it won't take too much longer before somebody goes, hey, you know what? This is bullshit. We shouldn't be having this shoveled down our throat any longer. And then there'll be a big change, but it isn't going to happen. It isn't going to happen next week, that's for sure. And that's unfortunate, but I love the first step. For me, right now, I think that people have gone completely stupid. I think that that I'm not supposed to talk about this either, but I think that people have fallen into that same trap as what Nazi Germany had, where mass hysteria took over and created a real giant mess, and it took a world war to quell that, those incredibly bad thinking and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that it won't take a third world war to make something like that change the way we're thinking and whatnot. But I do believe that somebody has to start looking at what's going on in the education system, because listening to people talk, I have to get up and walk away. It's very difficult for me to hire people, because if I hear that kind of stuff, you know, we both chose this country. It wasn't just a fluke that we got born here.
Right.
We came here because this was the land of opportunity.
Yes.
And for me,
merit-based, a country where you make progress based on your skill and
your ability to work. And
if you're able to do very useful things, then you get ahead. And I feel like we're starting to lose that. It's a big concern.
Starting. I'd say that we're getting real close to a watershed, and when that happens, it's very, very difficult to make the water go uphill. So I'm very, very, very nervous. I don't know why or how this has happened. That's not my area of expertise, but I do know what I see.
I want to try to figure that out. Like, I think some of these things started probably earlier than people realize.
I think when they started with the politically correct philosophy and whatnot,
right?
I think that was starting. That's kind of like where it started, and now it's gotten so ridiculous that it ain't even funny. And I don't know how that's going to change around.
It's really just another way of saying, like, you have to lie to fit in.
Exactly.
And then more and more you have to lie to fit in, more and more lie to fit in, and eventually that sort of house of cards of lies will collapse.
It always does, and it always has. But when it collapses, who gets crushed? And is there any recovery from something like that? How damn dumb can people be? Well, we've watched it happen in the past. People who read history have watched the Roman Empire collapse, the Greeks, the Egyptians.
Yeah.
I mean, show me a nation, show me a civilization, I should say, and I'll show you, hey, that collapsed. And why did it collapse? Well, because the people went stupid, or they spent more time watching what's going at the circus as opposed to watching what was happening in their backyard. I mean,
yes, very few empires collapsed simply due to external forces. They first defeated themselves from within.
Exactly. Yeah. The only way to lose in the United States will be if we tear it down from the inside, and it seems to me anyway that there's a lot of that stuff going on right now. So
yes. I suspect things will come to a head in the not too distant future.
I hope you're right,
Next
and it moves in the right direction. But
next year's going to be something else.
Yeah, no, that's the truth too. Yeah. So anyway, I know your son needs to get to bed.
Yeah.
And Pete, quite frank, we were at that last night, and I'm fading fast. I had about 6 cups of coffee.
No worries.
Yeah,
all right. Well,
it was a lot of fun. But anyways, thank you so much. Thank you, Elon. I really appreciate it.
You're most welcome.
Yeah, and thanks very much, everybody, for watching, and Elon for giving up his time. And really, I don't know what time it is, but if you've got to go back to work for another 2 hours, I'd say you qualify as a candidate. If you ever need a job, you can come to Monroe. Okay, thanks a lot. Thank you.